Hey there, it's Julie Hutchison from Think, Beat, Do Leadership. And my goodness, it's Saturday, but I had to do it because I said I would. It's day 4 of our Communicationfest, 30 days of top tips on communication, how to improve your impact and influence through the art of communication. And today we are talking about conscious communication for mindful impact. In other words, thinking about what you say so that you get what you really want as an impact and outcome, rather than going through life and doing what you just happen to do and wondering how it all went so horribly wrong. So often people can go through life on autopilot. I don't know if you've ever thought about that. Oh, by the way, if you're listening live, do say hello. Love to have your comments. And if you're listening on replay, just put hashtag replay and whatever comments you are, so I can see that you've seen what we've been talking about. So have you ever been in a situation where somebody has said to you, well, I never meant you to take it like that, or I didn't mean to offend, and it just came out wrong, or you've not even if somebody said something, but they come into the office in the morning or whatever, and they're stomping about and the door slams. Or is that just your teenager? I'm not sure about that one. But they're doing or saying, it doesn't matter which way. Communication could be more than just talking, obviously. Doing or saying something where you think, my God, like, why are they being like that? Yeah. And they've had a bad day or something like that. And you're getting, the rub off of something that's happened to them, or the way in which they're saying it is having a really negative impact. And you think, God, why would you be like that? And what I want to talk about is how easy it is to be on that autopilot, and how we need to stop and look at and listen, in the good old phrase of crossing the road a long time ago, stop, look and listen. And what I mean is to really understand what is going on here when you are communicating, whether that is having a conversation or whether that is slamming doors, behavioral communication, let's say, is all bits body language and all those things. Like, what's actually going on here? And so what I'm saying is when we go on autopilot, we do things because it's just like, either it's a habit, it's human nature, it's how we're feeling at the time, and it's our emotions speaking. Okay. And that might be heightened emotions like anger, or fed up or whatever, or it might just be like real low emotions of depression or something like that. We're going around like this. But it can be that the impact that you're having without even having to say something is negative, is not what you actually, and not what you actually would want it to be. And unless you stop and really look at sometimes, what is it that I'm putting out here? What are the vibes I'm giving? What's the whole behavior that I'm displaying? And what am I saying? Then it's not until then that we start to realize that actually sometimes the response that we're getting, and we already talked about the meaning of our communication is the response that we get in day 1, but the response that we're getting is actually because of what we're putting out. And so wouldn't it make sense, everybody? It does to me. Wouldn't it make sense? If you're conscious of what you're putting out, you're more likely to get back what you hoped for. And so if you're having, or if you're saying, well, I don't really, people don't seem to react very well, or they don't do what I want them to do, then we need to look at our own communication in terms of what we say and how we behave, to see, well, what's prompted that, what's made that happen, and do I need to change something myself? But you can't do that until you get conscious, and then you have mindful impact, i.e. you're going to be impact by design rather than by disaster. Make sense? Okay, so how do you do that then? Well, it's as simple as stop, look and listen, as in just stop for a second and take a different perspective. So when you are in the moment, that's probably a phrase you've heard, and you're in the moment and you're in the emotion of what you're talking about, whether that's good or bad emotions, you're in it, you are, your thought process is all about what's going on inside it. And you might be about thinking about yourself, and you might be thinking about the other person. But what I'm asking you to do is something that I get a lot of my delegates to do on our communication program and on our leadership program, and that is to watch ourselves on TV. So what I mean by that is to step out and look in as if you were a third person at yourself and at the other person. So That's why I'm saying look in as if you were watching yourselves on TV. So if you were like, if it were EastEnders and you and this other person, for example, was a character on there, and you were watching them, one, you're emotionally dissociated from the being in the moment. Yeah. So when you're looking at it as if you're watching it on TV, you're not now in the moment. So your emotions can be dampened and you can look at it more logically. And then when you're looking in on these two people having this conversation, thank you, hello Katie, by the way, dedication on a Saturday. I know. Who promised these 30 days? It was me, wasn't it? So when you're looking in on your TV, you have a different appreciation of what's really going on in the conversation. So you can see the individual characters, you can see yourself, and you can then look at the bigger picture of what's happening here. Why are they talking like that? Why is that person doing this? Why is that person doing that? What are they both trying to achieve? And so you're much more dissociated, which means you can be much more like logical about it rather than emotional, which means that you can then ask yourself the question like, well, one, what is going on here? And two, do I really want to behave like that? Or if I was watching myself, if somebody was watching me, would I want to be seen like that? You know, the things that you do when you don't think you're being watched. Well, now I'm asking you to kind of watch yourself. And so you can ask that question, my goodness, if the Queen was on my shoulder, or if, I don't know, somebody you really like, I'm trying to think of somebody like a football character or something. What's his name? Alex Ferguson was on my shoulder. You know, would I want them to see what I'm doing here? Would I want them to see what I'm saying here? And when you answer that question of yourself from that third person, from that emotional dissociation from the situation, suddenly you might find that you're thinking, oh my goodness, no, I don't want anyone to see that I might have just said that, or I might have behaved like that. So it means that you start to recognize the impact that you're really having. Yeah, because you've taken the emotion. Because we can all justify. I don't know about you, and Katie, you can let me know if you like, since you're here. You know, have you ever justified your behavior or what you've said? Like, well, he was horrible to me, so I had to say, you know, I hate you. That's the classic, isn't it? Or something like that. Or he kept opening the window so I was cold, so I had to, you know, go harumphing around the office and make it really awkward for everybody because I felt bad. And that is an emotional response to, you know, you having had a bad experience with somebody else and you didn't want the window open, for example. So we end up with these emotional responses. But if we're able to step out of that, and that probably means as in stop, look and listen, like crossing the road. It's not the green cross code, it's the communication cross code. And that is, we stop, take a breath and allow ourselves to just calm for a second, step out and look in like we're watching ourselves on TV, and then listen to ourselves. I think, oh my God, like, you know, would I be embarrassed for anybody else to know that I said that, did that, felt that, or whatever? And if I would I like to change it and get a different result? Because if we try to justify whilst we're in that emotional response, yeah, of course we're never gonna change our mind, because we're still like, you know, fighting for our corner and being defensive and or being angry and fed up with all those things. And it's not until we step out and then go, that's not helping the situation, or maybe I should change that. I can see their point of view. And that's the other thing. I can see that other person's point of view if I'm emotionally detached from it being in the conversation. So we're looking in on the conversation. Suddenly we're like, oh, maybe Bob's got a point, I was a bit rude, or whatever the thing is. And we can respond differently. We respond consciously, and therefore we design the impact and the outcomes that we get much, much more clearly. Obviously, you can't always account for the other person and what they're going to do, but you have a much better chance if you are the one who steps out, looks in, and says, did that help or did it not? Okay, so in the old green cross code, we're going to change it to the communication cross code, the communication code, which is stop, look, and listen, and adjust what you're doing for the greater good. Yeah, so don't get so emotionally involved. Step out, emotionally detach yourself, look in like a third person on TV. If that were EastEnders, would I be going, ooh, or would I be thinking, oh, that's a sensible way to deal with it? Ask that for a Saturday morning. Oh, it's a Saturday afternoon now. So if you've enjoyed this, we are running 30 days, as I said, of communication tips. It's called Communication Fest. because I went to a festival at the weekend, and we're going to be doing 30 days of this because I think September is a really important month to make the best impact that we can when we're back at work after going to having the school holidays off, where we're back trying to get the best out of our businesses. And the only way to do that is to have the best relationships we can with the people in the business, because business is made up of people. And if they don't like you, or they're not happy, or you don't help them, or they just think that you're, some kind of awkward person, then they're not going to do their best work. So to get the best out of people, then we need to do the best ourselves. And this, getting conscious of our communication, whether it be behavioural or verbal or whatever, non-verbal, then this is the best way to look at your impact on them, so that then they can look at their impact back on you. Okay, happy Saturday. Casey, thank you very much. If you're watching this on replay, do say hello, and we will be back. Oh my goodness, I've got to be back on a Sunday. We will be here on Sunday because why not? 1 o'clock. Let's see what we've got, and hopefully you enjoy that. If you want to know more about how to implement better communication strategies in your business, then give me a shout, and I can tell you about how we run our communication courses, our leadership courses, and we run them in-house, and you can come along as an individual on an open course. So, happy Saturday. Remember, watch yourself on TV. Take care. Bye-bye.